And we're going to come to meditation with a different attitude. You know, meditation for me became work, became a struggle, became the most boring 20 minutes of my entire existence, the longest 20 minutes of my existence, with occasional moments of feeling really, really good. So I want to knock that on its head and turn it upside down and see if we can approach it from a different place. So we're going to be noticing the formlessness, and we're going to also be noticing the forms. So all the forms are seemingly arising out of the formlessness. And just noticing that the way we usually come to meditation is from the mind's perspective of, I've got to pick one of those. I've got to pick form or formless. And of course, by this point, we're all going, formless, please. I want that. I don't want the other, you know, specifically the forms of thoughts, subtle forms of thoughts. So let's come to our meditation here now with this kind of open curiosity. Let's see, in any moment, our attention is either going to be on the formlessness or on a form, either a gross tangible form like my body or this table or this laptop or the furniture in the room that you're sitting watching this in, or a subtle object like an emotion arising in the body, some thoughts, confusion, I don't get what she's talking about, something, you know, whatever mind is doing. So our only choice is whether we're focused on form or formless. And I want you to try and play with an attitude of just whichever one of those I'm looking at is fine. I'm not going to struggle in this meditation at all. So eyes open, at least for now. And we can start embracing form by recognizing, embracing the either or-ness rather than trying to choose one, by recognizing without these forms, we wouldn't be able to recognize the formlessness. So without my hand, I can't recognize that there's empty space around it. It would be really hard for me to see the space that's always been here. So around your body right now, around any object in the room that you're sitting in, there is empty space, which really isn't actually empty space. It seems boring and dull at first because of the ideas we have about it. It's irrelevant, our mind says. It's just necessary space so that all this stuff can appear in it. But that's about all as far as the usefulness goes of this emptiness. Let's call it emptiness tonight. So there's forms and then there's emptiness. And you can't notice the form without the emptiness in between. They're beautifully contrasting, aren't they? They're beautifully contrasting, and they're not in opposition. That's what I really want you to get. So whatever your attention is on now, if it's on the form, a form, great. You can say around that form, whether it's a subtle thought form or a gross tangible form, around it is the spacious emptiness. And you can do that with every single thing. If we look at this statue here, there's space around it, isn't there? Any object that you perceive, even if there's a thought going through my head, that thought is happening inside, appearing in some emptiness, isn't it? And the emptiness and the thought are not in conflict with each other if you really kind of look at that. They're not, there's nothing there that's trying to get rid of one or the other, which is what we so desperately try to do in our meditation. Formlessness, emptiness is the right thing, and my thought forms should just go away, they should fly away. But what if they're there to contrast beautifully? How could you see the space in which this room is appearing without the room itself here? Would you even notice it? Would you be able to? Or is there a beautiful contrasting dance going on between the emptiness and the way that it's showing up? There's this body, this body, this body, everything that we have in this room, everything in every room for everyone that's ever going to watch this, what is watching this now, everywhere, basically. Everywhere there's an object, there's emptiness around it, everywhere. The other side of the universe, the furthest reaches of the furthest planet that we could go to, if that was possible somehow, it would still be the same, wouldn't it? If we went back 1,000 years, or went forward 1,000 years, it would still be that. The objects would have changed what they are, but the same basic thing would be this there, that there is objects and there's this emptiness around them. So we're just going to practice for a few minutes, noticing whatever our attention falls upon, and noticing the emptiness around it, the not a thing yetness that this is, that seems at first boring, it seems irrelevant, it seems dull, necessary only. And if your attention gets caught up in a subtle form of thoughts, we're not going to try hard at all. Just the moment you sort of recognize that you're zoomed into thoughts, you're paying attention to thoughts, see if you can notice the space around the thoughts in which it's appearing, or the emotion. If there's an emotion moving, if you're feeling restless, if you're feeling confused, if you're feeling blissful, if that feeling is there, can you notice that it's appearing in some kind of background context, isn't it? Emptiness. All of our bodies are too. And what if meditation then became a beautiful noticing of the formlessness, and then a curiosity as to how it's appearing as form? Oh, look, it's showing up as this thought. Oh, look, it's showing up as this emotion. It's showing up as this experience. It's showing up as this person. And it's showing up as my thoughts about this person, positive or negative. It's also showing up as nothing, nothing. And whenever I'm focused on forms, I can remember that there's formlessness, emptiness around it. And whenever I'm focused on the emptiness, it gives me beautiful contrast for the objects, the things appearing inside it. And meditation then becomes something that's not a struggle. It should be something we can just, okay, am I focused on nothing or something? And whatever you're focused on, you're focused on. It's just very, very relaxed. We can't even really call it meditation because it's just kind of sitting here enjoying. There's no struggle. This idea that we've got to get rid of one or the other comes from the basic idea in our mind that they're two different things. They look different. You know, this microphone looks different to the emptiness around it, completely different, doesn't it? They look like opposites. But if we just rest attention wherever it is, noticing the spacious emptiness as well. And you can close your eyes if you want to now. Don't have to, but if you're closing your eyes, noticing the blank emptiness that first appears when you close your eyes before any thought appears in it. And at some point, some thought is going to pop in there. I'm doing really well with this emptiness thing, mind will say, you know, or something really helpful. And just noticing again in our inner world, same thing. Emptiness, nothingness, and then an emotion or a thought or an experience. And your body is just hanging out in the emptiness, the chair that you're sitting on. And I'd really like you to just take the struggle out of this. Take the struggle out of it. For the rest of your life and beyond, physical life, you're going to be either noticing form or formlessness, emptiness. That's all that's ever going to change, isn't it? What those forms are going to constantly change. Your scenery is going to change. The basic experience we're going to have is going to continue. Whether our eyes are closed in a formal meditation or open in a kind of more ongoing meditation as it ends up. And that really is the natural state of a human being. Gradually, attention comes to rest on the formlessness more, emptiness more, not by effort, not by getting rid of the other stuff. Have you noticed how you can't get rid of that, right? You try to push it away, it's kind of, not that I didn't try, and we don't all try to do that for a very long time. And there's nothing wrong with thoughts if we use them in this beautiful way to contrast. Without this thought moving through my awareness, I wouldn't be able to see the awareness. I wouldn't notice it's there. And then I can notice the awareness, whether it's full of something or empty. So just wherever your attention is, not fighting. Let's not fight in our meditation. Let's see if we can just chill out for a while. Whatever you're zoomed into, an object out here or in here, and everything that's not the emptiness is an object, subtle or tangible. And then the objects take on this kind of just isness. They don't have any emotional charge so much anymore. Even our thoughts just become thoughts. They're just thoughts when we're not trying to get rid of them. So we're putting so much effort into pushing against something. Then they just are thoughts. They're just things. They don't really get in the way. So just taking some time, noticing that if you stop fighting, that naturally you begin to feel less divided. Even though we haven't changed anything about our experience, you start to feel more whole and unified, relaxed. The body relaxes, and eventually even mind begins to slow down, because there's nobody fighting with it. There's nobody trying to pick a side. In reality, forms and formless are the same one, and that will just reveal itself to you. There is nothing to choose. Is you're just resting here like this. It's not a very pleasing meditation for our mind, because we're not achieving anything or getting anywhere or getting some super duper level of consciousness or anything. It's just emptiness. Okay, that's boring. Okay. If you can just go with that, if something begins to slow down inside you, something that's desperately trying to sort through your experience and get the right thing and get rid of the wrong thing, something that's just kind of our egoic sense of self, our mind, that which believes in two, believes that they're different, it's trying to get rid of one and keep the other. That in itself makes us feel divided, because they're not really two, even though they seem to be form and formless. So wherever your attention is, just noticing it's either on a thought or a form, or it's on the spaciousness, the emptiness. If it's on a thought or a form, you can notice, zoom back out, notice the space it's appearing in. The more you just do this very simple thing, you can do it while you're walking around, while you're talking to someone. Your eyes can be looking at them directly, and you can be aware of the spaciousness, the emptiness around them. And then you'll be fully present with them. You'll be able to really engage with them completely. And it really becomes more a curiosity meditation. how much can I kind of relax into this? And where can I practice this? Can I do it in the supermarket? Can I do it while I'm at work? Can I do it while I'm with my kids? Does it have to be something I just do with my eyes closed when I sit down? It starts like that. But it feels so good that we want to do it more and more. And eventually it just becomes effortless and continuous. And it doesn't matter if our attention goes to thoughts after we finish this satsang tonight and we're lost with our thoughts for 2 hours, 3 hours, and we completely forget the emptiness for 3 hours. Nothing's happened, has it really? Nothing. It's still here. Oh, I forgot again. And it just kind of, here it is. The emptiness is not bothered where your attention is. So see if we can just be a little bit like that. Naturally, you'll begin to just zoom out anyway. Like you might be listening to what I'm saying, but not really kind of paying attention, trying to do anything with the words. You're just kind of here and relaxed. And so isn't this a much more fun way to meditate than trying to achieve some state or goal, which, by the way, is completely unachievable, which you probably figured out, hence the reason you're here. It's enough to just meditate like this with your eyes closed or open when you're walking around if you want to, and it'll become more and more a way of being, a way of living. And you'll be caught up in a conversation, you'll be noticing the emptiness even while you're talking. It's like, wow, I didn't know I could do that, actually. Didn't realize it could be that easy. Just stopping trying to get rid of anything. It's not really our thoughts that are troubling us, it's our attempt to get rid of them that's disturbing us. When you really get that, meditation becomes effortless. And your attention is just going to go to form, formless, form, formless, 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 form, formless, 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 formless. That sounds really strange when you say it enough times quickly. And this is just what happened for me. Just naturally, I fell in love with not fighting anymore. Not fighting. I was tired of sorting through my experience and trying to get somewhere, had enough of that. It didn't work anyway, never did. And it doesn't matter if a whole day goes past before you remember to check out the emptiness. It doesn't matter, or a minute, or if your attention's constantly on it. You're only going to feel disturbed if you think that you should be looking at something else. If you're looking at thoughts, look at them. If you're looking at emptiness, look at it. And you cannot get this wrong then. This meditation cannot fail, which is really good news, So see if you can move around like this after the satsang. See if you can, and during the satsang even, just stay with this. Whatever I'm looking at is whatever I'm looking at. But if I'm looking at a form, just with my eyes on it, I can notice the space around it. It's impossible to notice a form without it showing you the formlessness. It's always been here, hasn't it? We just kind of thought we had to pick one or the other. And I really got this inside. It was like, oh my goodness, I've made such hard work out of my awakening. Really hard work, I was about to get rid of everything. I'm going to really, get there. And I tried so hard to keep my attention only on the formlessness, and I realized it was impossible. I came to realize that they are the same thing anyway. It really doesn't matter in the end, but until we get to that point, let's just not choose. While they seem to be two, let's just not choose, not prefer, not pick. Especially our thoughts. Like, let's get rid of these ideas that somehow they're in the way of our meditation. What if they're popping up to show you the stillness that they're moving in, the awareness that they're moving in? Same thing. And what happens when you start to look at them that way? Your relationship with your mind begins to change, that you're not pushing against it. What if that's the only thing that's keeping it noisy, actually? So we kind of morphed into a talk and a meditation and all sorts. But hopefully you've had an experience of some effortlessness that we didn't arrive at. We just kind of stopped fighting something, fighting this. Stop trying to choose. Peace is there. Peace will be there to the degree that we're not dividing ourselves. By the very idea that I've got to pick form or formless, we are dividing ourselves into two artificially, and it hurts. It hurts, doesn't it? So this is the quick way out of suffering. There might be some negative emotions, some negative thoughts, but if I just allow them to be there and show myself the spaciousness around them, I won't be able to contract around them. I won't be able to believe them. And if I'm still believing some thoughts, that's okay. I can notice those. See if I can just zoom out a little bit. Here's this thought in my mind. Can I just zoom out a little bit when it's there? Can I just pull back a little bit? And notice in the emptiness. Or some emotion, or some experience that I'd rather not be having in that moment. And the same with an experience I really would rather be having. Can I just zoom out a little bit so I don't grab it and try to keep it, which is the other side of that duality coin. I like this one. Let me kind of taking this home. We don't grab for peace or joy. It stays, I wish somebody had told me that 25 years before.